construction worker was on the third floor of an unfinished building when he realized he needed a handsaw. Too lazy to go down himself, he tried yelling to his buddy on the ground, but the noise was too loud, and the guy couldn't hear a thing. So the worker decided to use hand signals. First, he pointed to his eyes to say I, then to his knees to say need, and finally mimed the sawing motion. The guy on the ground looked up, nodded like he understood, then dropped his pants and started furiously jerking off. Furious, the guy on the third floor rushed down and shouted, "What the hell is wrong with you? I was telling you I need a handsaw." The other guy shrugged and said, "Yeah, and I was telling you, I'm coming." Little Johnny woke up in the middle of the night and went to the bathroom. On his way back to bed, he passed his parents' room and noticed the covers bouncing up and down. "Hey, Daddy, what are you doing?" he called out. His dad replied, "Playing cards." Johnny asked, "Who's your partner?" "Your mom," his dad answered. A few minutes later, Johnny passed his older sister's room. Once again, the covers were bouncing. "Hey, sis, what are you doing?" "Playing cards," she replied. "Who's your partner?" "My boyfriend," she said. Later that night, Johnny's dad got up to use the bathroom. As he walked past Johnny's room, he noticed his covers bouncing. "Johnny, what are you doing in there?" Johnny replied, "Playing cards." His dad chuckled and asked, "Oh yeah? Who's your partner?" Johnny grinned and said, "Don't need one, not if you've got a good hand." Two blondes were standing on opposite sides of a lake, staring at each other. One blonde cupped her hands and shouted, "Hey, I want to get to the other side of the lake, but I can't swim. How did you get across?" The other blonde shouted back, confused, "What are you talking about? You're already on the other side." A newlywed couple returned from their honeymoon and settled into their tiny new flat. That night, as they got into bed, the husband made a move, but his blushing bride whispered, "Shh, these walls are paper thin. The neighbors will hear everything." She added, "Next time, ask in code, like, 'Did you leave the washing machine door open?'" The next night, the husband whispered, "Darling, did you leave the washing machine door open?" She huffed, "No, I made sure it was shut," rolled over, and went to sleep. The following morning, feeling a bit frisky herself, she nudged him and whispered, "Honey, I think I might have left the washing machine door open after all." He smirked and said, "Don't worry, I noticed. It was only a small load, so I did it by hand." Mandel was very old and suffering from a rare condition. He could only drink human milk. "How on earth am I supposed to get that?" he asked the doctor. The doctor replied, "Well, Ruby Frankenstein just had a baby. Maybe she'd be willing to help." So every day, Mandel visited Ruby's house for his daily feed. Ruby, a dark-eyed, full-figured woman, found herself slowly and unexpectedly aroused by the strange ritual, especially as Mandel chuckled softly while suckling at her right breast. One afternoon, as he lay quietly nursing, she leaned in and whispered, "Tell me, Mandel, do you like it?" Wonderful," he sighed. Her breath quickened, her lips parted, and her eyes sparkled. "Is there anything else you'd like?" she asked, her voice low and inviting. Mandel gently pulled away, licked his lips, and murmured, "Maybe a little cookie." 3 women always hung their laundry out to dry in their back gardens. Strangely, whenever it rained, everyone's laundry got soaked, except Brenda's. Curious, the other 2 women started to wonder how Brenda always managed to avoid the rain. One day, while all 3 were outside hanging clothes, one of the women finally asked, "Brenda, how come your laundry's never out when it rains?" Brenda smiled and said, "Simple. Every morning I wake up and glance at my husband. If his willy's hanging over his right leg, I know it's going to be a sunny day, so I hang out the washing. If it's hanging over his left leg, I know it's going to rain, so I don't bother." One of the women asked, "What if it's pointing straight up?" Brenda smirked, "Oh, honey, on a day like that, I don't do laundry." A man and a woman were chatting over a few beers at a bar when they discovered they were both doctors. After a while, the man leaned in and said, "Hey, how about we go back to your place tonight? No strings attached?" The woman agreed, and soon they were at her apartment. He went to the bedroom while she disappeared into the bathroom, where she started scrubbing like she was prepping for surgery. Hands, arms, everything. A full 10 minutes later, she finally joined him in bed. They had sex, and afterward the man said, "Let me guess, you're a surgeon." "Wow, yeah," she said, surprised. "How'd you know?" "Easy," he replied. "I could tell by how thoroughly you scrubbed before we started." She smirked and said, "Makes sense. And you're an atheist, right?" He blinked. "Yeah, How could you tell? She sighed, because I didn't feel a thing. A girl named Mary was standing in line at the pearly gates, waiting to get into heaven. As she approached St. Peter, she suddenly heard the sound of a drill followed by a loud scream. Startled, she asked, "What was that?" St. Peter calmly replied, "Oh, don't worry. That's just an angel getting her halo fitted." Mary nodded slowly, but before she could speak again, another scream pierced the air. "What about that one?" she asked, more concerned. St. Peter smiled. "That's just another angel getting her wings attached." Mary's eyes widened. "Screw this. I'm going to hell." St. Peter frowned. "But Mary, they rape and sodomize you down there." She grinned and said, "Yeah, but at least I've got the holes for that."